This is a story that she told me. It's pretty much a traditional Cherokee story, I've discovered. She didn't say so at the time. This is a story she told me that she asked me to tell back in the first person. So I do. When I was a kid, I was afraid of thunder and lightning. Get under the bed. But when I was 7, my great uncle gave me a gun. And this is it, the actual 22. You can see it's short. For a 7-year-old, the little tag on it says they use it to kill rattlesnakes with. Now I'm not sure if I killed them with this thing or if I just clubbed them to death, because the area was full of rattlesnakes down there, and so I was walking around. I had to have a gun. And I'd walk up the road behind the house, which went up into the mountains, the piney woods, that were at that time public property of state forest. And I was coming back when I was about 8, I guess, and I had killed a chipmunk. Shot it, and I knew chipmunks could eat, but I was going to bring it back and show it to my grandmother that I actually got something with the gun. And so I'm walking up the road, or the farm road behind the house, and there's a snake in the middle of the road. A black snake with white markings on its chest, about as thick as my arm. And it spoke to me. It said, "What you got, boy?" I said, "Chipmunk." Snake said, "Give it here, boy." So I laid the chipmunk down in the dirt road, and snake came up to it and flipped its tongue over it to kind of get a sense of it, and then swallowed it. Snakes, when they swallow, their teeth point backwards. Once they glomp onto something, you're not going to get out of there. So slowly it swallowed the chipmunk, and as it got the bulge of the chipmunk in its throat, the snake slithered off the road into the woods. And so I was able to walk by, got to my grandmother's house. She said, "Did you get anything?" I said, "No, ma'am, I didn't get anything." About a year later, I went out hunting and I got a rabbit. And I hunted and not had any trouble on several occasions, but I was coming down the road. Here's a snake that got bigger. I could tell it was the same snake. It had white markings, and I could tell it was the same snake that spoke to me and said, "What you got, boy?" I said, "Rabbit." Said, "Give it here, boy." So I take it out of my pocket, jacket pocket, and I laid it down on the road, and the snake comes up, and it's big enough it could swallow that rabbit. And about a year later, I was coming back. Must have been 11 or 12 by this time. And I got in a raccoon. Good eating raccoons, sir. And I was coming down the road carrying this raccoon, and there's a snake, and bigger now. Bigger than I was around, and long. About the size of a good-sized tree trunk. And I said, "What you got, boy?" I said, "Raccoon." "Give it here, boy." Well, of course, I took it out of my jacket pocket, laid it down in the dust, and the snake just gobbles it down. I get back to the farmhouse. My grandmother says, "What you get? Did you get any hunting? Get anything?" And I say, "No, ma'am." Just as I had with the rabbit, I had not said I got anything, nor with the chipmunk. Why, I don't know, but I didn't. A few days later, I'm up the road again, and I hear a commotion over in the woods, thrashing around, and I never heard such a noise. Just trees were falling down. So I, of course, got off the road and walked over to see what was going on, and had my rifle with me. As a kid, I wasn't afraid of anything, so I had my rifle, 22 short, probably not very But I get into this clearing, and here's a snake, okay, big snake. It's wrapped around something, squeezing it, crunch up its bones so that it would swallow easier, I guess. So I was about to turn away, and whatever was in the coils of the snakes would help me. And I stopped. Turned around, the snake said, "Go away, boy, not your business." I was about to turn away, and the voice said, "Help me, please help me. I'll be your friend if you help me." You could see kind of sparks coming from the inside, and I figured the snake had caught a young thunderbird, maybe. Thunderbirds are pretty huge animals. And I was about to turn away, the snake said, "Go away, boy." And of course, when you get spoken to like that, you don't go away, you turn around. And the snake looked at me and I, "Go away, boy, not your..." I took my gun and I shot the snake in the throat in that white patch. I shot it again. This thing holds about 12 short rifle cartridges. And I shot it again. Didn't seem to phase it. They're 22 short, so it didn't seem to hurt a bit. I could tell that the slugs went into the throat of the snake, but didn't do much damage, but it was bothering him. I shot again and I shot again, and the last shot I took, when the gun was just on his last cartridge, was enough that the snake released its coil. It was just enough that whatever was in there flew away, got loose. It's not. So the snake turned and looked at me. Now snakes, when they're about to eat something, they can look in the eye and you're paralyzed. Okay, that's how they catch rabbits and mice and chipmunks, as they look them in the eye. You can't move. I don't know why. And it looked me in the eye and I was petrified. I couldn't move. And the snake kept closer and closer and closer. And opened up its jaws. You don't want to look down the throat of a snake. It's nasty. And suddenly, there was a tremendous flash of light. And a sound of thunder. And that was enough to break the spell. I turned it around. And behind me out here, I knew something was lightning was striking that snake. And so I turned around. And there it was coming after me again. The lightning didn't seem to phase it a bit, so I ran like crazy down towards the house. And behind me I could hear. I stood there in the doorway, just about getting dark, and I heard coming down that road. Thunderbirds fly above the clouds. You don't see thunderbirds. And above the clouds there was this tremendous commotion. It sounded like every thunderbird that ever lived was flying above me. And as it passed overhead, there was a voice that said, "I'll be your friend forever." And then there was a voice of all those thunderbirds, and they said, "And we'll be your friends forever." And then they were gone. And after that, I was never afraid of thunder and lightning. I'd go on the front porch when the storm was coming, and just sit there, watch the wind blow the leaves, and see the thunder strike out in the pasture. Didn't faze me a bit.